Hey guys, welcome back to the new Salty Beans channel where we'll be doing our commentary tracks from now on. I'm Meg.
I'm Stacy.
And today is my worst nightmare, come to realize.
Why, Meg? Tell us why.
I loathe this movie. If you can't read the title for some apparent reason, you just clicked on this randomly. We're watching Quest for Camelot, which is a 90s animated movie by Warner Brothers. I had no idea this movie existed until a couple years ago when I had to edit with it for Trader Within Us. And then so I sat down, I watched it, and I hated it. I thought the main characters were really annoying. I didn't like any of the songs. I thought the story was lame and cliche and boring. I thought it was just like a Cliff Notes version of what they thought a good movie was, but it's not actually a good movie because we don't have to put effort into it if it has good animation and people behind it. And yeah, I very much dislike it. Though I have an interesting relationship with it, and we'll get to that in a little bit after Stacy says her thoughts.
My thoughts are I adore this movie, flaws and all. Okay, I can fully admit that it is most likely my nostalgia that I can watch this movie enjoying it and with overlooking the flaws it has. I still just love the movie to bits.
Good for you. Yeah, I didn't grow up with this movie, so I have no nostalgic attachment to it. So by the time I watched it, I was a pretty critical thinking mind, so I basically saw it for what it was, and I was like, wow, this is not a bad movie. I also dislike it because I have a very big love for the King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table story. It's a story I grew up with when I was a child. And when I was really young, I had these books surrounded on it, and I loved it to pieces. And it's why Merlin is my second favorite TV show of all time. Maybe first it's that and Gravity Falls are basically tied for each other for my favorite shows ever. So when I saw this movie, I'm like, this is a disservice to a really cool legend. You have the thing is that legend has awesome, interesting characters that you can interpret in so many different ways and do really interesting things with, which is why I like the Merlin TV show so much, because it's oh, let's take these legendary characters and basically do it before they were legendary people. But it's no, let's focus on this random farm girl and a blind guy that have no personality whatsoever.
Hey now, Garrett is a sassy boy. That is his personality. And Kaylee, yeah, she's a milquetoast, I agree.
God, yeah. The relationship I have with this movie, though, is astonishing. For those who don't know me, I am a character animation major, or I'm going to be anyways. So I took numerous amounts of art and animation classes, and one of the teachers I had, one of the supervising animators for this movie, you could actually see, I actually did find his name in the credits, and it was really fun. And he told me all of the horror stories that went behind the scenes for this movie, and it makes so much sense. Everything he told me about this movie was a production mess. After they had done doing the script and storyboards, Kylie's name had been rewritten, had been changed 3 times. The famous Celine Dion song was added more than halfway into the production, when they had already started animating the damn thing, they said, hey, let's add in this song. So the most famous song in this movie was Last Minute. Those are the most prominent things I remember from the stories he told me, but it's a train wreck of a film.
If you would like to watch along with us, there will be a link in the description to Patreon where you can watch along.
Oh, this came out on their 75th year anniversary. That's depressing. They deserve better than this. Warner Bros. Actually has made some really awesome movies. Baby Carrot is cute.
Did Meg just compliment this movie?
Hey, I've always said I like the animation. I just shit on the writing.
Years we celebrate all that made our kingdom great, liberty and justice for all.
Do you know who that singer is?
No.
Do you know the band Journey?
You're kidding!
That's him.
Oh my
That's
god!
Steve Perry.
No!
Yep.
That is awesome.
Charming sing-along. Now let's get down to business.
Hey kids, can you guess who the villain of the film is going to be?
I love Ruber so much. He's so animated and crazy.
In all Legends of the Story, the knights were Arthur's most trusted men. How did this asshole? It's like they wanted a Mordred without understanding how to do that. It's like, oh, he's like Mordred. It's like, okay, well, there's build up to Mordred turning on Arthur, right? She acts like being a knight is like going on some kind of grand quest or adventure. It's like, honey, no, you die in wars. It's not grand. Wouldn't it be cooler and more interesting if she maybe, like, she's the same thing, she's a child, she idolizes knights, she wants to be a knight, but then she finds out that her father as a knight died from another knight, and then as an adult she hates knights, she doesn't want anything to do with them, she doesn't want to go anywhere near Camelot, and so she ends up getting wrapped up in this whole thing to find Excalibur, and then she ends up being proven wrong. Well, so maybe Garrett's actually a knight, and they run into each other, and he's like, hey, maybe you can help me, and she's like, I don't want anything to do with you, but then she ends up kind of growing to appreciate knights and realize maybe it's not so bad, and maybe she can recapture that dream she once had. I think that would be a much more interesting plot than just, I want to adventure in the great wide somewhere. You think it's not gonna know that you're reaching for your sword, idiot?
I know.
I do like that the one thing to keep accurate is Arthur's character severely injured. No, I'm fine. Come on. I have no role in this movie other than to direct a bird, even though I have the most powerful magic in the entire. I'm fine.
I have a plan. It includes you. You, Giuliano, lead me to.
This isn't a song. He doesn't sing. I agree with you that Ruber is one of the best parts about this movie because he's an extremely fun villain and antagonist. But why wouldn't you give him a proper song? Why do the boring and uninteresting and characters that don't matter have actual songs and he just talks? Also, okay, that guy.
I know. What a dumbass.
I know.
And what is this guy doing? Do you not see Kaylee right there? Do you not hear Juliana talking?
This is like guards being dumb to a whole new level.
I told you once! I told you twice!
They totally had to rehearse this. Okay, George, you go behind me, and you're gonna swing these little things in the air, okay? And Steve, you're gonna be on my right.
Imagine they're rehearsing it, and it's like, no, Steve, to my right. What's so right to you? Ruber's secret passion is to be a dancer. We should have casted him in John Smith's role for Call of the Hunted. He was the real ballerina.
I pray you'll be mine.
It's almost like they randomly inserted the song into the movie and they couldn't animate the whole thing because they were lazy bastards.
So how did this get inserted so late?
I honestly don't know because Sheldon just said he walked into the board meeting one day and then they gave him a new script saying, okay, so we imported a new song. This doesn't match at all. It's like this woman is like fleeing for her life and is terrified, but there's this soft ballad played in the background. Like, who made this decision?
Dead.
Roll credits.
See, it means he knows where Excalibur is.
Sure he does. In Camelot. You know, big castle, lots of flags.
I love his sassiness.
I do like his sass. And just being done with Kylie shit, because that's me.
I just need your help this once.
That's some bull right there.
So you mean to tell me the song was entirely pointless? What a shock.
Hey, but he saves her through the entirety of this movie.
Yeah, which just goes to show you how much I hate Kylie even more. Because she's so clueless of her surroundings, and she's like, I want to be a knight! And she doesn't make any effort into being a knight. She just whines that she wants to be a knight, and I'm like, well, maybe if you actually did some shit.
Hurry! Hurry!
You think this is easy?
I do like that line where she's like, hurry! And he's like, you think this is easy? Like, this movie is Garrett being 100% done with Kylie shit before he loses his personality halfway through the film. And we'll get to that. I'm just eating cookies because it's the only thing I can do to distract myself from the seething rage within me.
No one travels through the Forbidden Forest after dark.
Well, my father, Sir Lionel, would have.
Who has lived here for years, Kaylee?
I know, she's just like, well, my father. I'm like, well, bitch, did you or your father live in the Forbidden Forest? No! And we've also been repeatedly shown that Kaylee really just does not know nothing, with him saving her ass constantly because she almost dies a million times from her cluelessness. She just is so, like, wrapped up in her own fantasy of being in a knight that she never actually breaks out of that. She just is constantly in her fantasy about being the hero, being the knight, and she ends up being the hero and being the knight, which is a pretty shitty lesson. If, like, oh, if you forever stay in your fantasy world and you never learn how to interact with reality and listen to people who do understand reality better than you do, then it'll always go your way. Like, that's a horrible lesson to teach kids, especially since kids have a very hard time telling the difference between fantasy and reality when they're very young. So to tell them that Kylie's behavior is extremely acceptable throughout this whole movie is stupid. Because of her whining and complaining and not listening to him, he gets shot. And how does she get repaid? Him being like, no, it's fine. It was my fault. And then he falls in love with her.
If we follow these tracks, we will.
Well, this is all your fault.
Oh my god, she did not. This is your fault. You're the one who decided to stop. Now we'll never find Excalibur. What have you done to help? I've never seen someone so desperate to be like, I'm a strong, independent woman. But it gets no qualities of actually being strong or independent. She's just a clueless, dumb idiot who needs to have a man do her work for her.
Look at the sky. Tell me, what do you see?
Here's the thing. The only meaningful conversation these two have had in this movie is him just telling her backstory. And that one training scene that lasts 30 seconds. Those aren't romantic moments in the slightest. Other than that, she's being annoying, she's whining, and then he's sassing her back. They have no romantic chemistry whatsoever. The only thing I believe that she likes him in a more romantic way is the fact that she thinks he's cute and good looking, but he can't see her, so he has none of those same feelings. So he would have to fall for her personality, which I think he thinks is annoying, to be honest. And again, this movie is hitting beats. Whoa, we need a love song, like how Disney has all the love songs. Where do we put it? I guess here.
Just close your eyes and pick.
Pin the donkey. Instead, it's like pin where the useless love song goes.
Garrett, do you think my mother's safe?
If she's anything like you, I'm sure she's fine.
No.
Look deeply in her eyes. Make her feel like a real woman.
Oh, wait. Here comes your incest.
Burn this movie.
For those who don't know, Meg has a very
Seething hatred. I think incest is like one of the most disgusting acts on earth.
Yeah, we'll show him a thing or two. Won't we?
Yes, we darn well will.
You're flying.
I like the animation of him figuring that out with him hearing the voices, but waving his stick, realizing that they're not there. That's cool. The animation on Garrett, I think, is actually pretty legit.
Garrett is just the best thing about this movie.
He has King trapped inside. There's no way in.
The king. Wait, I know a way.
See? He hasn't been to Camelot for years, and even he knows more than she does. She's like, where are we gonna go? And he's like, wait, I know. What is her role in this movie?
If this movie didn't have Kaylee in it, and it was just about Garrett trying to get his confidence back, that he does belong there and that he can be a knight and all that stuff, achieve his dreams, I would really like that.
That'd actually be a much better movie. Garrett would be a much better protagonist. That's a good question. Why isn't Garrett the protagonist of this movie? He's actually a pretty chill protagonist.
This must be my lucky day.
And that's it. That's the only useful thing Kylie did in this movie. Was just saying now and dodging Ruber's attack.
Which is something that Garrett taught her.
Exactly! Also, if this wave healed everybody, why didn't Garrett get his sight back? He became blind from an accident. So, like, why wasn't he unblinded? Why did he get his sight back? What is this? Why is Garrett treated this way?
From this day forward, you will both sit as knights of the Round Table.
She didn't do anything!
He doesn't deserve to be a knight!
Garrett, absolutely. Kaylee, not so much.
Yeah, no, Garrett 100% deserves to be a knight, but Kaylee, no. Also, why is she wearing a dress if this is her being knighted? Shouldn't she be wearing a knight uniform?
I think it's also their wedding, too.
That's
Yeah.
never made clear.
Well, because towards the end it says just, oh, wait.
It says just knighted. Listen, I love that dress more than anything, but why is she wearing a dress?
Hey, don't even think about it.
Why do we keep bringing back the incest joke with those two? What?
I always took the just knighted as like a play on just married kind of thing, but it's medieval, so just knighted.
Going to ignore the fact that the two dragons were going to kiss each other again. Why does incest exist? This movie is cursed and it deserves to burn. You go first.
I think Meg is broken.
I am. I've exhausted myself.
Well, like I said in the beginning, I have nostalgia glasses on. I love this movie. I really do. There are so many flaws in it. I do see those. I'm not oblivious to those. Kaylee doesn't do anything. She's quite annoying. She complains a lot. And I don't think she's grown one bit through the whole movie. It's the same character all the way through. And with Garrett, I love him. He's one of the best parts of the movies, of the movie. And same with Ruber. I like him. He's fun to watch on screen. He's very out there and very animated. And I like what Gary Oldman did with him. I do like the songs. I'm a sucker for the songs. Even though none of them fit anywhere, I still like them.
I mean, I kind of discussed a lot of my issues while we were watching it, but my issue with this movie hasn't always been Kylie as a protagonist, because people think it doesn't take very much to get me riled up and in a ranting mood, but in actuality, it doesn't take that much. You have to make a lot of mistakes and a lot of fuck-ups in terms of writing a protagonist to get me to really, really hate them. Because I've always been known as somebody to universally like protagonists no matter what. There are hardly any protagonists in any movie or TV show or book that I have actively despised. Some I might not have cared for, like, yeah, they're kind of boring compared to the other characters and stuff like that, but none that I've hated. And I loathe Kylie because she is just the epitome of everything I hate in writing a protagonist. An argument I remember seeing for this movie for a few years ago, specifically for Kylie, is the fact that she's a strong woman. She defeats Ruber at the end of the day. She's a fighter. She wants to be a knight. And it's like, that's what the movie is on paper. Like, you write, if you were to write, like, a short summary of, like, what the movie is trying to be, then yeah, that's what they're trying to make Kylie's character is. What Kylie character actually is she is a useless tool with practically no purpose. She constantly endangers herself. She is utterly clueless of her surroundings and between separating fantasy and reality. She never listens to the one person who actually knows what the hell he's doing. And she refuses to learn from any of these things. The thing is, to write a character who has a sense of pride to them or has trouble writing fantasy from reality, and they have to learn from that throughout the story, that's fine. I actually like that as a strategy. I've watched a couple of really good cartoons that have done that. But this movie in no way does that. In fact, it enables her behavior. It says that her behavior is 100% acceptable and okay, because by separating fantasy from reality, she gets a boyfriend, she gets all the credit for saving Camelot, and she gets knighted. Like, her obnoxious, annoying behavior that almost kills Garrett at one point is rewarded beyond belief. She never experiences any type of consequences for her actions. And Garrett getting shot is not a consequence because literally the scene right afterwards, he sings a love song to her. And he's also completely healed. There is nothing to indicate that she learns anything because the movie doesn't let her. And this is also enabled the fact that Garrett, who actually is a pretty good character throughout the movie and has much better qualities at being a leading protagonist than Kylie will ever hope to have, is stunted when he's forced to be in this romance with Kylie that doesn't make any sense. There is no indication that he has any type of romantic feelings for her. The only times she has any romantic feelings for him is because she looks at him and being like, oh, he's cute, he's attractive, but his way of interacting with Kylie is sassy quips because his attitude towards her is being done with her bullshit. And so to say that he now is in love with her, I don't buy it. You haven't given me any reason to buy it. To me, the only really redeeming quality in this movie is, I think, Ruber, because I think Gary Oldman does a pretty fun performance, which is now surprising because Gary Oldman is just a pretty well-renowned actor, and he also is also known for doing some pretty hammy villain roles. So him kind of being super over the top in this is not surprising, and him also having a blast is not surprising either. So he was very entertaining, and I liked watching him. But other than that, this movie is just annoying and and frustrating and infuriating. And it makes me wish there was a better movie centered around the premise of Camelot and King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, because that's a really awesome story and legend that you can do a lot with. But instead, we got this shitty movie with the main protagonist who no amount of slight tweaks in writing without rewriting the story completely can save it. So, our next movie
Is my payback.
is 100% your payback. I love this movie wholeheartedly, 100%, unconditionally. I love this movie. I love it for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons I really like it is the relationship it centers around, and the fact that it reflects a relationship I have with someone in my life. And that someone and I adore this movie because of how well we emotionally connect to it. And it's a very wholesome movie. That's kind of the best way I could say it. It's a very wholesome movie about bonding that I really like, and it's getting to know the side of somebody you complained about for most of your life. And that message means a lot to me because that's someone in my life. I've been in. It's hard to explain without saying what it is. And I'll go more depth into it when we actually go over it. But it's a movie that is very special in my heart and is something I love very much. And it's one of the genuine few. Okay, maybe not few, because I'm a sap. But it is one of the movies where I remember bawling my eyes out in the theater because at the ending, because it just made me want to go up to a person in my life and just be like, I love you so much, I'll never take you for granted again.
I've tried to watch this movie a couple of times, and I think the longest I got to was maybe 20 minutes, and then I turned it off. It just didn't grab me at all. I was bored, and I just didn't want to watch it anymore. And maybe with this sit down and me actually having to watch the whole thing, maybe by the end my mind will be changed. I'm hoping it will be, because I don't want to not like this movie. I do want to like it.
I mean, I imagine we'll do it soon because we're both under quarantine right now. Heyo! Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for our next one. Bye!
Bye.
I have a plan. It includes you. You, Juliana, will lead me to Camelot, where I will claim all that is mine. In the back of your wagons, my men will all hide. You'll sit up front as the gates open wide.